Big update on the striker situation today. Of course, Mateta has got a hat trick, but does this mean that he's potentially going to get a contract extension? We'll be discussing that. And of course, Dean Henderson, he's officially a Palace player, so we'll be getting your thoughts and more. Let's get started with Palace news. What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. We are approaching deadline day. About 25 hours left till the window is shut. Shut till January. And we signed a player today, but it's only a goalkeeper. We still haven't got the striker that we've been asking for, or the winger, or arguably the fullbacks as well. And we have got 25 hours. All that time in the window that we had remaining, it is coming to a close. But as always, we want you involved. So let us know your thoughts as the show is going on in the live comment section. And let us know if you're watching a replay in the comment section down below. Look, Dean Henderson, he's officially joined the club. So we'll be starting off with that. Then afterwards, as I mentioned at the intro, Jan-Philippe Mateta, could he be getting a contract extension? And also, it might be a case of a striker potentially not joining the club based on that. I mean, if that happens, that is absolutely ludicrous. So we'll be discussing that. And Raksaki, it seemed like a decision is made on his future as well. Look, Dean Henderson, he's officially joined the club, which is, look, I'll start off with this question from Busy Jokes, saying, W signing or not? It's the thing that frustrates me the most about the Dean Henderson signing is the fact that we can't really talk about his ability. We can't really discuss what he can bring to the side. The discussion point about Dean Henderson is, could we have spent that money elsewhere? I think that's the most frustrating thing about the signing, because signing Dean Henderson, look, he's still a relatively young goalkeeper. I believe he's only 26 years old, has played for England before, has Premier League experience as well. And, you know, overall, he's a very solid goalkeeper. And then if you're buying him for £15 million, there's no major problem with that. I mean, that is not that much money nowadays in the Premier League. So overall, when you look at it like that, I think it's great business. But when we're talking about potential contract extensions to strikers that haven't been good enough at Premier League level, and when you're thinking about where that money could go towards, that's when I think the problem rises. But look, we'll talk about Dean Henderson a bit before we talk about the striker situation. So, of course, he had his first interview at the club. So we'll go through some of the quotes because I haven't even had the time to go through them myself. Been a very busy day for me. Now signing, says Luke. Let me know what you guys think as well whilst I get the quotes up about the Dean Henderson signing. Just your general feeling towards it. Are you happy with the signing? Are you not as bothered? Out of 10, give me a rating. Give me a rating. How do you feel about Dean Henderson joining Palace? So this is what he said. Some of the quotes, of course, I'm not going to go through all of them. He said that talking about Sam Johnson. He said Sam's a top mate. Hold up, that quote has literally disappeared. Well, I'll go back to that in a second. But look, this is what he said. He said the club has got great fans, a lot of top players who are hungry to succeed. There's something being built here, and I really want to be a part of it, said Dean Henderson to Palace TV. The fans are great at Selhurst Park. The same old, you know, what we hear. They're always great, making great atmosphere. I'm really excited to play with them rather than against them. And he also explained that, you know, he's been there, Man United, for 12 years, had some good times, some bad times. But the most important thing is Sam Johnson, right? We're talking about Dean Henderson versus Sam Johnson. Who's going to be number one? Who's going to get that number one, number and basically take reins of Palace? Because Sam Johnson was given that number, but now it seems like there might be a bit of confusion. But Dean Henderson kind of spoke about Sam Johnson, and he said the following. He said that, I know he was a top goalie when he played. I spoke to him on the touchlines. I think he's talking about Remy Matthews and Sam Johnson here. But let me go to Sam Johnson's bit. He says, Sam's a top mate of mine who was actually at my wedding last summer. So interesting. They might be closer than we expected. We're great friends and we've had phone calls. Whoever plays, we will support each other. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him tomorrow. I know Remy Matthews really well as well. So that's good. The goalkeepers union will be really tight. So I think that is the most interesting part of the whole interview from Dean Henderson when he joined the club. He has said that Sam Johnson's, you know, his close friend. The fact that he was invited to his wedding as well indicates that. And he said, whoever plays, we will support each other. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him tomorrow. That's good. Look, in terms of if it works out like that and none of them cause a fuss, then this is fantastic. Having Dean Henderson and Sam Johnson as a goalkeeping option, because both of them, they are very good goalkeepers for the Premier League. We know that we can rely upon both of them to step up when it's needed. But as long as it remains like that, it seems like they are very good off the pitch, Sam Johnson and Dean Henderson. So hopefully that's a very good factor. Also, Remy Matthews as well. I don't know how he knows Remy Matthews, but Dean Henderson said that he knows him as well. So the goalkeepers union, all three of them, it should work out well. So on paper, that works out well. But for me, it's not really a case of Dean Henderson joining Palace and whether it's a bad goalkeeper or not. It's a case of, can we use them funds elsewhere? Robert Bandman says Henderson might be better than Johnson, but keeper clearly wasn't an issue in our areas of the game so far under Roy. He will cause more unrest than good. Look, Chris, I was thinking that as well, potentially, because I just don't see why you would leave United to join Palace to be number 2. But look, he has said that he's close with Johnson. He's also very good with Remy Matthews. Sam Johnson was invited to his wedding, and whoever will play, they will support each other. So he has kind of answered those questions already, that he's not going to cause a fuss. Now, saying one thing and doing another, we will see. We will see over time, I guess. But if he does keep it up like that, if Sam Johnson is happy with that, Remy Matthews, and Dean Henderson, then I don't think it will cause any major problems. But yeah, hopefully that is the case. Busy says he wasn't too bad at Forest. I feel Roy could transform Henderson into a better player like he did with Sam Johnson. I'll be honest, Busy, I don't think Roy transformed Sam Johnson into a better player. I don't think Roy knows that much about goalkeeping. You can give credit to maybe Dean Kiley, but Sam Johnson really didn't get any opportunities, so I don't think he was transformed into a player. I think Sam Johnson just playing as expected, I guess, at Palace. But that's my opinion anyways. Alil says, I have absolutely no interest in this keeper joining. Just depresses me that there's no news on outfield players. There is news on outfield players that we're going to talk about. I don't know if it's going to be good news for some of you, maybe minority. You might be happy. For others, you might not be. So Chris says his reaction to being behind De Gea was childish. I think that's fair points. Will Remy now be sent out on loan? I don't think so, Gaika. I really don't. I think those are going to be our 3 goalkeepers. We saw it last year as well. You know, we had to call on Joe Whitworth against Arsenal, also against Brighton as well. So I think those 3 will remain as our goalkeeping options. That's what I think. Adam saying, I genuinely think we are no better off than last season, maybe worse off. Interesting discussion there. And also tomorrow, we're going to try to do a live transfer deadline day special show, probably around 8 p.m. UK time till it officially closes. So yeah, I haven't planned anything around it yet, but that's the idea anyways. So keep if you haven't already done so, subscribe. If you subscribe, then you won't miss out on the show anyways. Evan saying, I've been seeing that is due to Johnson release clause. Look, we spoke about Johnson release clause here ages ago, and it was a thing. I think it was around £10 million, something around that region. But Wolves were interested in Sam Johnson as well, but that went quiet. So I just think it's not really on Johnson release clause. I think it's about Vicente Guaita leaving and an opportunity there to bring in a goalkeeper. And I think the club just basically decided that if Guaita's leaving and we're looking at the future, then now is the time to get Dean Henderson. I think they just rate Dean Henderson rather than Sam Johnson's release clause being a problem. Amit says, while I'm happy about Henderson, I'm just a bit worried about the fact we apparently can't afford a striker, but can spend £20 million on a position where we only needed a backup. Henderson is a 7 out of 10. Johnson was good enough, but I do think he'll eventually be overtaken and then want to leave, which isn't great. But Dougie has admired Dina for years, so I trust Dougie. Yeah, I think that's the case as well. I think there is that feeling that Dougie has rated him, and that's why he's brought him to the club. I think it's like a long-term project with Dean Henderson. But we'll see what it means with Sam Johnson's future at the club. Because, yeah, that'll be interesting. But so far, by the quotes, it seems like they'll get along. But then again, when the games are flowing, and one of them is not getting selected, then we'll see if there's any fuss caused. But people, I'll be honest, we can talk about Dean Henderson as much as we want, but we've already spoken about him before. And I want to get into a more serious discussion, and that is on the striker situation. And as I'm saying, about 25 hours or so, less than that now till the window shuts, and we still haven't got a striker. But what worries me more is the quotes and the news that's been coming out today relating to that striker situation, and that is on 2 things: on Iheanacho, but also on Mateta. So according to the Evening Standard, the Eagles are ready to discuss a new contract for Mateta, who will see his current deal expire in 2026. Following that, officials had sounded out Leicester City's Kelechi Iheanacho, but have since moved away from pursuing out-and-out strikers in favour of more versatile forward options. Now, this is a piss take. For me anyways, people. Everyone has their own opinions, but I think this is a piss take. That if the bar is set so low that if you score a hat-trick against Plymouth and you get a new contract extension, then that is just beyond ridiculous. Beyond ridiculous. That would be absolutely crazy if this is true. If we don't bring in another striker, I think it's crazy to extend Mateta's contract extension. Based on the fact that we've known that Roy hasn't really rated him. Even when he was last at the club, he didn't really play him as much. And now it seems like Edouard was in favour as well. Yes, he scored a hat-trick, but come on, a bit of common sense from Palace. A bit of common sense is needed here. We spent about 2 months talking about the striker position. We spoke about different names, Che Adams, Iheanacho, players from Europe as well. But in them 2 months, we spent 50 million. This is where I get a problem with Dean Henderson. Not Dean Henderson specifically, but the money that's been spent on him. We spent £50 million on Dean Henderson, and we're talking about extending Mateta's contract, who we've known that he has got some big goals for Palace. But you can make the same argument with Edouard. We know that he has a ceiling in the Premier League. The fact that this news is coming out after Plymouth makes me even more frustrated due to the fact that, yes, he scored a hat-trick, but geez, is the barrier that low? Like, we've seen Mateta for ages. We know that we need a striker. It's not only just Mateta. We've seen Edouard as well. So I just don't understand how all of a sudden, after one game of him scoring 3 goals against his lower league opposition side, which it was fantastic finishes, that all of a sudden we don't need a striker. Now, I don't mind Mateta extending a deal at Palace, even though I don't agree with it. But at the end of it, we still need another striker. Whether that's 3 strikers at the club, that would be fine with me rather than 2. But we need another striker. I just don't agree with the fact that Mateta contract extension might not lead to likes of Iheanacho signing. I think that's just poor. Like, we can't just rely on Edouard and Mateta. Like, if we want to take steps forward, we know what Mateta can offer. We know what he can offer. And that frustrates me more than anything. But look, send me your thoughts anyways. You can disagree with me. I'm fine with that. Agree with me. But send in your thoughts about Mateta potentially getting a contract extension at Palace. And also, Iheanacho, it seems like, even yesterday when we spoke about it, it seems like that deal is kind of getting a bit more difficult as the hours going by. Nick, really appreciate it. Get some munchies for the transfer for tomorrow. Thank you so much for the super chat. Mateta is more missed than hit. There's no way we can extend his contract. He isn't even first choice striker for us at the moment. No point buying a fox in the box if you don't deliver in for them. Dumbest thing I've ever heard, considering the fact that we need a pure goal scorer, says Law. Mateta contract is clickbait. I hope so as well. Evan says should have sold him when we had offers, and that's what I just. Yeah, Geico, look, it's so confusing because I thought that was the case as well. At the end of last season, we were talking about Mateta wanting to leave. And now we are talking about contract extensions come end of the window. I give Dougie so much respect. I think when he has found players, he has been fantastic. But if we leave this window without bringing in another striker, that would not be cool with me. That is not cool. That we need to take steps forward. We know our striker situation. We know what to expect from these strikers. So let's not act dumb and all of a sudden after a hat-trick against Plymouth, act like Mateta is the answer. If we, as I said, I'll keep saying it again. If, of course, there's 24 hours or, we're approaching 24 hours so the window shuts. If he gets the extension and we sign another striker, fine. We can talk about the extension and we can talk about whether that's a good deal or not. But at the end of the day, we need another forward. There's no ifs and buts. We simply need another forward. And if we don't bring in another forward, then that is piss poor from the club. I don't see any other ways of wording it other than that. Because we've been talking about this for 2 months. We've had ages. We've had the whole summer. And we left it till the last 2 days now. Or you can argue last day. Because today's done and dusted. So we have to get something done tomorrow. Hopefully this is not true. Hopefully it's just clickbait, as others are saying. But if it is, then that ruins a lot of good things that we've also done in this window for me, because that's been the one area that we've needed to improve, and we've known that we needed to improve. Jude says the striker story is an absolute joke. It's like we expect that there's tons of players like IU out there. We don't need versatility. We need an improvement at striker. Biggest positive this season has been IU. I see him assist 10 plus goals this season, like Elise. I would say that with Chess if we get Iheanacho in as well. Alvada says being a poor window with France being inexperienced and having the pressure of living up to this price tag. We'll always do it this way. CPFC have no ambition. Look, people always say, wait till the window's shut. Wait till the window's shut. Well, we've got 24 hours. We've got 24 hours to solve this striker situation. I just don't like the fact that we delayed it this long. I guess we've known that Iheanacho's price tag. They must have spoke to Leicester. I mean, we had ages to sort out the striker problem. And here we are. Here we are. Well, currently our strikers being Edouard and Mateta. And Mateta getting an extension to his current deal, which, I mean, he has scored some big goals. So I can't say he doesn't deserve it, because he has scored goals, some big goals. But I'm looking at the striker situation overall. I'm looking at what Edouard and Mateta can bring to the team when they're not scoring goals. And unfortunately, I just don't think they're good enough. I just don't think they're good enough. And a hat-trick against Plymouth is not going to change my mind, because I've seen some massive goals from Mateta, goals against Millwall, goals against Brighton, and those goals haven't really changed my mind. I've said it when he first officially signed for the club. You can go and check back on that transfer deadline day when we made his deal permanent. I said it then as well. I feel like, yes, he was scoring goals, but I wonder if we rush into this deal. And at the end of it, look, I think we probably got money's worth. You can make the argument, have we? I think we probably have, because he has scored some big goals. But then again, we need an improvement there. It's clear. We need an improvement there. You can have Eze's, you can have Elise's, you can have even Ayu's now, who's assisting goals. But ideally, you need a better quality striker to finish your chances. It's not rocket science. I don't think it is. Just win a cup and call it a day. I'll be happy with that. Yeah, we have to go past United for that to happen. Nick, yes, the Back of the Nest preview podcast is out as well, people. So you can go check it out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all your usual podcast platforms. Search Back of the Nest for the preview podcast with Nick and I believe Chris Clark as well. We're going to sign some makeshift striker. Sad state of affairs and gap in ambitions that we consider a Mateta extension, whilst Brighton are snapping up Ansu Fati. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're in a different world to us. Let's be honest, they really are. And it is a bit frustrating, because I don't know how the managed to surpass us like this. We're just getting left behind, it feels like. Adam saying Mateta and Edouard struggle to get 10 goals a season combined. How can they not see a striker as priority? I don't know. I don't know. I just don't understand it. Jack saying last season people were complaining that we needed a midfielder, brought in Loma, 100% Jack. I think that's a fantastic deal. But he also says we are in the process of a slow build, unfortunately. It's a slow build, Jack, but I mean, this is where you can have that debate. We spent £15 million plus £5 million in add-ons to Dean Henderson. Could we have used that money on a striker? Is goalkeeper high up the list than striker right now? For me, I don't think so. I think we've needed to strengthen the forward areas. And I think this is where you can have that debate. I don't think anyone is saying that Palace should be spending 70 to 80 million pounds every single window. This window, we've needed to strengthen first team positions. If at least maybe 3, you can make the argument, but minimum 1 or 2. That was strikers, one of them. Goalkeeper was never on the agenda. I know Vicente leaving changes that, but I don't think we should have still spent that money, if we do have a tight budget, on a goalkeeper. I just don't think so. I just don't understand why you wouldn't bring in another forward, especially with Zaha leaving as well, the club. I mean, France joining is fantastic, but we still don't know with him how long he's going to take, when he's going to be back, and how long, till he adjusts to the Premier League. And in addition to that, we know with our striker situation, that's the biggest thing. It's like, and that's going to be the discussion point, right? It's going to be, we got Dean Henderson. I'm not mad about buying him based on the player he is, because I think he can be a very good addition, and number 2 or number 1, depending on how he is used. But my problem is, you have to make priorities, especially if you have a tight budget. And if it's a case of, we spent the money on Dean Henderson now, let's just extend Mateta and not bring in another striker, then that's where I have the issue, because I think that is poor. I just think that's poor decision making from the club, personally, after what we've been talking about striker for the past year or so. Tanner says, new Palace fan from the US. Any chance we get a striker? What's a dream transfer? Well, first of all, Tanner, I don't know if you made the right choice coming to Palace. But look, welcome. From the US. We've got a lot of US fans in the chat as well, in general. So everyone will open you with open arms. But being a Palace fan, I have to say it now, there's going to be a headache at times, but the good times feels great as well. Right now, there's question marks. But look, any chance we get a striker, I think there is still a chance to get a striker, but we haven't got that long left. We're closing in on last 24 hours till the window's shut. The dream transfer at this point is nothing very high from me. I would be happy with Iheanacho. I think that would be the dream transfer by the minimum. But I don't know what others are thinking about that question as well. Let us know in the chat. Mike saying, just a question. Do you think Schlupp is overweight? Well, I don't know if he's overweight, but it seems like he has put on weight. But yeah, if he's overweight, I doubt he would be playing for the club. Surely we have procedures around that. So I think he just put on more weight than before, but I don't think he is overweight, if that makes sense. David saying, I saw France has been injured since 16th of June and had 3 months out injured in 2022. Hoping it's not another sick note. Hopefully that's not the case, David. I mean, we had a lot of time scouting him. I'm hopeful that they've looked at his injury record as well in that process. I think it would be silly not to. And hopefully it's just minor injuries that he's had. Old says wanted Iheanacho badly. I would love... Hold up 2 seconds. There's a lot of comments coming in. Adam saying I would have been happy with Remy Matthews as second choice and have Whitworth as third choice if we meant we would have £20 million for striker. I agree with you there, Adam. I think it's about making priorities if you don't have much budget. And yeah, £50 million on the goalkeeper and then renewing Mateta. I think it's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. But look, there's a lot of comments. Tanner says, grew up a Miami Dolphins fans. I was made for this. Fair enough. I'll be honest, I don't know who Miami Dolphins are. I'm pretty sure they're not an NBA team. I follow the NBA, so I don't know who they are, but yeah, hopefully you're ready for the roller coaster. There's literally a roller coaster over at Palace. B says any striker we sign will starve a lot of the time. I won't be mad buying a wide player. You can create more chances rather than striker. Well, the report suggests that Iheanacho, we moved away from the Iheanacho according to the Evening Standard, but we are in favour of a more versatile forward option. So B, if that's the case, then we could end up getting a player that could play striker and out wide, but I just haven't seen the names that's been mentioned apart from Emmanuel Dennis, who's gone quiet now, that could do that role. So yeah, that's what the club want. But have we got the players out there that's available for that fits whatever budget that we have remaining? But yeah, Mark says spent £45 million, 20 million on a goalkeeper who probably won't start, and France are 25 million and he's injured. Who does the medicals? I think it's not a case of medicals. I think France will be now injured. Like players can join when they're injured. I mean, Chelsea still wanted Elise when he was injured. But yeah, France, I'm not fussed about 25 million because I'm interested to see what Dougie has found and whether he'll come good, because yeah, it's a lot of money for Palace. Well, it feels like a lot. It shouldn't be after 10 years, but that's a debate for another day. But yeah, France is not a problem for me. That £20 million on a goalkeeper, I think that's where the problem lies for me, especially when we have got more forward players. Mitch saying I just feel like a couple injuries at the back and we'll be shipping 3 goals every week. That there scares me a lot more than the striker situation. I think we've got depth at the back. Chris Richards can step in. Maybe not at fullbacks, especially at left back, but at right back, then again, we've got Wardy and Klein. I think we're right in defence. I'm not that worried about defence, in all honesty. Danny Ings would be a fantastic signing, but the problem is, I mean, our medical room is already booked up for Danny Ings, and there's a reason why West Ham are willing to let him go. He's massively injury prone, on high wages, so I don't know if it would fit us in that aspect unless we can get a deadline day special deal with Danny Ings. But yeah, I feel like that's in the past. I wouldn't mind him joining, but I just don't see Palace making that move at this stage. What about the lad from Leeds? Well, he's been linked with another club. Who was it? I saw it earlier on today. It's gone a bit quiet with Palace side of things. I think you're talking about Somerville. But yeah, so I guess tomorrow we'll find out if there's anything serious behind it. But I saw him linked with another club. I can't remember exactly who it was. I think it was another Premier League club, but yeah, he has been linked, which I expect because he's a quality player. Guy is saying rumors about us wanting Sydney Van Hudonk today, but the story smells of agents trying to whip up interest for the client. Yeah, I saw that as well. First time he's been linked with us. But yeah, I don't know how true that is. I think the Mateta Iheanacho discussion was better than talking about him, which we don't know because this is big. Anderson is the best passer at the club. You can make that fair argument with that. David also saying if we don't have a half decent season, all the players we've invested in drop their sell-on values. More investment needed to protect these investments as well. Burnley, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it was Burnley. He's been linked with Burnley, £20 million move, Somerville, to play that we've been linked with apparently for a loan. I don't know how we got this loan news, but from people at Leeds, it seemed like they're willing to sell him. But yeah, Burnley are interested in getting him for £20 million, and I'm pretty sure Leeds will sell him to Burnley if they can get £20 million, which I don't see us spending. Maybe money comes out tomorrow. Maybe money comes out from the basement tomorrow and we start spending £20 million on a forward player. We're not signing anyone else. I'm sorry to say, D, but you're going to be disappointed once again. I'm going to be angry. I'm trying to contain it, which I'm struggling right now, but I'm going to be angry in 24 hours if we don't sign anyone else. We have to be signing someone else. We have to be. But yeah, look, that's it on Mateta. Let's move on to the final bit of news today. Mateta and Iheanacho. Let us know what you guys think if you're watching a replay in the comment section down below. And also, if we're enjoying the stream, let's smash the like button, people, and subscribe if you're new here to not miss out on future Palace content. Before I actually talk about that, let me answer this. Milton says, do you think we'll make any deadline day signings? I think, we have to. I've said this. We have to. Like, there's no, we don't make any other sign. We have to make another forward signing. It's simple. Like, we just have to. So based on that, maybe if it's not a permanent transfer, we still bring in someone who can play maybe up front or out wide, out on the loan deal. We just have to make some type of signing. There's no way that we just don't. There is no way that it will be pathetic. It will be genuinely pathetic if we don't. But yeah, let's talk about Raksaki quickly, people. According to Alan Nixon, Raksaki, his decision has been made by the club, and he will not be sent out on loan by Palace unless they sign a winger on deadline day. So Raksaki is not going out on loan unless we bring in another winger on deadline day. Now, if we bring in another winger on deadline day, it might be someone from Leeds, or I think it might be, that we haven't been linked with that many wingers recently. Like, really, it's been mainly Iheanacho, but he's a striker, and like Che Adams and all of them players. But yeah, look, I would be happy with Raksaki staying. We've had this discussion before. I don't think there's much to talk about with Raksaki. Look, if he stays at the club, then great. Hopefully he gets a bit of opportunities coming off the bench. But if he goes out on loan, it'll benefit him as well because he'll get some experience to develop his game. Look, there's been a lot of interest from him for him by clubs in lower league sides because of how well he done at Charlton. He is a good player. Whether he can be a Premier League star in a few years' time, I guess time will tell. But if he stays at Palace, great. He's developing with first team Premier League players. If he goes out on loan, he's playing first team football regularly. So I think it's a win-win situation with Raksaki, really. So I'm not really that worried about it as well. Is this window all on Guaita? Says Collis, Damon. Well, I think Guaita might have messed things up for us in the goalkeeper aspect. But then again, Vicente leaving, we could have got another goalkeeper as well. Or we could have, it's about prioritizing. We could have sticked with what we've got. It would have been a risky approach, but we could have done that as well. But yeah, Vicente leaving doesn't help the situation because let's be honest, if Vicente was staying, I don't think Dean Henderson would be joining Palace for £15 million. And then that money could be spent elsewhere. So I think he's had an impact. But then again, you can't just blame it all on Vicente, which I think his attitude has been poor. So I want him to leave. You can't blame it all on him because the club made a decision to prioritize a goalkeeper when we could have, approached it differently. And that's on Dougie and C. Parish for those decisions. Massimo says, I don't feel like we are good at these last minute deals. They seem to always fall through in the past. Not confident in us making it any attacking signings, but I hope we do. Um, Jude saying Sunderland looks set to lose Patrick Roberts, so they may look tomorrow to push for Raksaki again. But according to reports, we're not loaning out Raksaki unless we get a winger. So regardless of what Sunderland want to do, I don't think they're going to be getting Raksaki. It all depends on what we want and what we can actually do. Adam saying, to be fair, also thinking about it, the club have been given 2 bombshells with Zaha leaving on the free and the Guaita situation. Well, Zaha leaving, I guess we brought in Francis, so that's sorted. The Guaita situation, we made this decision by bringing in Dean Henderson. So we're going to look. If we all knew the budget, then we can, I guess, say, oh, I mean, we have £30 million. Why did we spend 15 on Dean Henderson? Maybe there's more money in the bank. Maybe there's more money in the bank. Maybe these reports coming out there is from the club to make other clubs, look at Palace and think, oh, they haven't got that much money to spend. Because you don't want other clubs knowing that you have money to spend, because then you might end up like West Ham, where other teams know that and they will charge you more for their plays because they know that you have the money. So maybe there's some mind games being played. But I'll be honest, if there is, then we're going to find out in literally a day, or less than a day. So yeah, we haven't got long left now. Roy will be pissed off if you don't get anyone else in, and that's another aspect as well. People, look, he said it. He said for all summer that we need more players. In fact, not only just all summer, he said it on the overlap interview with Gary Neville that this side can finish in the top 10 with the players that we've got now and a few additions. He's always been talking about additions. He knows that this squad has got quality, but we are missing players. And I've said it before, I feel like at times we take the piss when it comes to Roy being our manager. We take advantage of that, because any other manager, we saw it under Vieira, right? When Vieira first joined the club, we went and brought in Gahey, Anderson, Elise, Eze was already at the club, Decore as well. We brought in some quality players. But when it comes to Roy, I mean, we have made some good business. Like Lerma is still a good addition this window. And I think it's fantastic business, to be fair. Even though it's free, it's a free player that we're getting, by a quality player. So that's all that matters. But he's been calling for players. And I don't think Roy wanted another goalkeeper. When he's talking about 3 players, I don't think he said another goalkeeper. Now, I think he has to be a striker, because I don't think he's rated Mateta ever since, he joined Palace, Mateta, because even when Roy was last in charge, he didn't really get that many opportunities, didn't give that many opportunities to Mateta, and he's not giving them right now as well. His appearance is coming off the bench. So that's clear. So I think he wants another striker, probably another winger as well. And the third position, maybe another fullback. Or I don't know exactly what he's thinking, but it should be another fullback. And if we leave this window with, not signing another striker, I guess Francois is a signing. But then clearly, if Roy is still saying we need 3 more players that we're missing out on, then he clearly thinks that Francois is not enough. So look, striker, winger, that should be, the striker should be bare minimum. Winger needs to be done as well if we want to have a good window. I wonder how he'll react, because yeah, he's been calling for it. And if he doesn't get what he wants, I don't think he's going to cause a massive fuss. But I think it is unfair as well on Roy, because he has been calling for players all summer and even last season as well. Gary saying, what about losing £350 million to Chelsea? What? I don't understand that. We haven't lost £350 million to Chelsea. But yeah, Bradley saying, should Roy walk in protest if we don't get a striker? I've been his biggest critic, but looking at it in his defense, his game management has been excellent so far. With what he has, I agree. I think so far this season, you can't really criticize Roy. The results have been, I said 8 out of 10. If we got a point against Arsenal, which if Sam Johnson doesn't come out and we don't switch off and we don't give away the penalty, maybe we did get a point. I think the results have been great with the lack of depth that we have. I mean, key player like Elise being out, we lost Wilf as well. Of course, we're missing the talent in our front 3, so you can't really criticize. You can't really criticize Roy for anything. I mean, we beat Plymouth as well. So another update from The Athletic, just coming in now from Matt Woosnam, is that Henderson was being paid over £100,000 per week at Old Trafford and will become one of the highest earners at his new club. That's my response to that. That's my response to that. I mean, £50 million. needed £20 million on a goalkeeper. On top of that, you're making one of his highest earners at a football club when we flipping don't need a goalkeeper. Like, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. Are we allergic to prioritizing the positions that we need to prioritize? Like, how is Henderson going to be one of the top earners? If he's going to be one of the top earners, he can't be just sitting on the bench. He can't be. Like, he simply can't be. And hopefully Sam Johnson is ready to be sitting on the bench or leaving the club because, yeah, I mean, just the finances on it still just flipping frustrate me, people. It really does. It really does, especially when we're here talking about strikers and flipping forwards, and we're getting news that he's going to become one of the highest earners at the football club. I mean, geez, like, it's like the money that we have, we're just spending on flipping goalkeeper. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. De Gea £400,000 a week, so probably true. Yeah, it's coming from the Athletic, Matt Wozenham. So yeah, if you guys have that Athletic subscription, go read it out for yourself. But yeah, that's the latest report that he was being paid over £100,000 per week at Old Trafford, and will become one of the highest earners at his new club. So he's probably going to be close to that £100,000 a week, or maybe over that. I don't know if he's getting a pay rise or what, but yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, prioritizing a goalkeeper is frustrating. Mitch says that was one of my biggest questions about him joining. Yeah. Amit saying I hear shit like that and it's just sad if it's true. I think it probably is true if it's coming from the Athletic. So yeah, it is what it is. Look, I'm not pocket watching him. He can own however he wants, but when it's, when you're talking about how much money we're spending on him in comparison to what we need and what we could potentially spend, it just all these reports. Look, once again, I'll say it again. It's not Dean Henderson. My problem isn't with Dean Henderson. It's with the finances involved with Dean Henderson when we need other positions. Jack saying would rather not sign any more players if it means to sell players to balance the books like Wolves. Well, yeah, I get what you're saying, Jack. But as I was saying earlier, it's a case of, yes, we don't want players to leave, but it's a case of we spending, well, I don't know exactly how much, but he's going to become one of the highest earners at Palace. So over nearly 100,000 per week for Dean Henderson. On top of that, £15 million plus £5 million in add-ons. So £20 million plus £100,000 a week on Dean Henderson. Now, we didn't have to sell one of our key players to find £20 million for a goalkeeper. And this is where the discussion that I've been having for the last half an hour or so is, if we had that money, £20 million, could we have not spent that money elsewhere on the positions that we need? It's not a case of having to sell players to bring in, others. It's a case of the money that we did have we spent it on the right areas? That's the problem. But yeah, the £300 million comment with Chelsea's American part in. Yeah, I saw something like that. We spoke about it here before as well. Look, I don't know exactly who is pulling the move, but there is American interest in Chelsea. Could be potential reshuffle at Palace, but I guess till one of the major sources talk about it, it's hard to find out exactly what is going on behind the scenes. But we know John Textor, he spoke about it. He said that Steve Parish is doing a great job, but he wants to be more hands-on, and he regrets making Steve Parish, have all this power. He said it before. So, and he also hinted that he doesn't know if he'll stay at Palace long term, if he's going to remain like this. So there is a good chance that there's an ownership shuffle at Palace, but I guess time will tell whether that will happen. For now, let's just get through the transfer window, and then we can drop that news later on and talk about it in more depth if anything comes out. David saying, does the club have more faith in the backup forwards compared to the backup keepers? But I mean, like, do we have faith in the backup forwards? Edouard Mateta? Well, Mateta is the backup right now. Do we have faith? He scored a hat-trick, yes, but can we say we have faith? I don't know. I don't know, because he hasn't really had that many opportunities, Mateta. So even if the club has faith, Roy clearly doesn't have that much faith. So yeah. Bright side, 3 Palace players in England squad. Yeah, there is. Sam Johnson got called up, Eze and Mark Gahey. And let's end on a positive note. Yeah, that's good. For 3 of them, I think it's great. The fact that these players can play for Palace and still be called up to the England squad. It speaks levels. It shows that they don't need to join a big club as it was back in the day to get that England call up. So credit to them. I think they've all deserved it. But interesting thing is that Dean Henderson wasn't called up, and that third spot seems like it's between maybe Dean Henderson and Sam Johnson. So if one of them does get dropped, then I'm pretty sure they'll also, well, if it's Sam Johnson, if he does get dropped, then I'm pretty sure he'll end up getting dropped in the England squad as well. So I guess time will tell whether that will happen, and Dean Henderson maybe might be called up to the England squad if he starts playing for Palace again. But look, people, that's it from me today. Tomorrow is going to be a very long day. Most likely going to have a transfer deadline day special. But before that, the match preview is out for the Wolves game. Remember, the games are still going on. So me, AJ, Stan, T spoke about that game. So make sure to check that out after this if you haven't already done so. Opposition preview should be coming out tomorrow as well. So there's a lot of content coming out in the next few days. Of course, if you have enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And until next time, up the Palace, people.